Hey guys, Phil here. So today will be the last day of our focus on landing pages. So just real quick before we get into today's content, I just wanted to quickly mention to everybody, we intend on doing these videos for a little bit longer. So if you guys have any requests or any specific questions you'd like me to address over the next week or two, please definitely feel free to comment on the video thread here. I'd be happy to address anything I can or anything that's definitely reasonable to address soon. So yes, for sure, please let me know. So moving on to today. Today we are going to just do a quick coverage of some of the more important widgets that you need to know about through Elementor for use on a landing page. Then I also want to quickly cover using Yoast SEO tools to kind of help refine your page once you have the basic design down. So yesterday we've already covered the quote or the actual contact form that you're using on the page. And a lot of, for anybody who has used Elementor at all, most of this stuff is extremely intuitive. And you're going to work with basically the same widget, mostly the same, say 5 or 6 widgets over and over again. And of course, the major ones being like image widgets, which are fairly self-explanatory, title and heading widgets, and then finally, just more text widgets. But the biggest thing that you need to be aware of on these kind of generic widgets is always be aware that most of these do have a custom link attribute that you can mess around with. This is great for building out internal links and things of that nature. You want to make sure that you build a lot of interactivity into your site. So actually that brings us to our first real tip here. Is anytime that you have anything that is suggests an action, such as a phone number, email address, you really want to make sure that those are clickable, and that is done through linking, through anchor tags. So to do a telephone number through a heading like this, you would just simply find the link, and you just simply write it out as TEL : and then the phone number, and that will actually, on anything like a browser or a phone browser, that actually will allow you to click it and go straight to the phone. Or on and of course on the desktop, if you do have some sort of desktop calling app, it would go to that. Otherwise on desktop, it won't do anything. And then for email, it's kind of similar. You just would write mail to, all one word, and then you can actually put in your email address. You can also if there's actually more you can do with that, so I would just highly suggest just writing in like mail to HTML like that into Google. You can look it up. You can add subjects, and there's other things that you can do. But it's a very easy way to set up clickable actions inside your website in creative ways. So just something to keep in mind. We'll put that phone number back in for when this page goes live. And voila. So moving on down the page. And again, you see it's just the same basic elements over and over again. Image tags, we use, actually here's something a good one to know, is how we get backgrounds on various elements of the page. And that's just always be aware that every element you look at is always going to have a style tab. And for the most part, you're always going to be able to influence backgrounds in here. And the quickest and easiest way to kind of master this stuff is to simply play around with it. Always remember that anything you do can be undone. You can come down here into your history, and you can see a live history of things you've done. You can dig further back in the revision system, which actually gives you kind of a record of saves. So yeah, never be afraid to dig into this stuff and really have a good time and get creative. Of course, yeah, we also have some video that we've embedded in here. And again, just very simple stuff. Just you drag the widget into place. You throw your links in here. You can do start and end times. But again, you can read through here. Everything's extremely self-explanatory. If you run into trouble, Elementor themselves has great documentation at their website, elementor.com. So always feel free to go there. And one of the biggest other ones to be aware of in terms of stuff that you're going to see me do, or anyone here at IO do when we build pages, is we are using this really nifty reviews and testimonials widget. But that's something that, for the most part, you're going to need our help with. But I do just want to make you aware that if you have one of the templates like Icebreaker that has it on your home page, it's very, very easy to grab it from here and add it. All you would need to do would be to edit with Elementor on the page that has it. We'll let that load up. Then we can simply come down to here, and depending on how much we want to grab, we could click on the whole, so we could right click on the whole section, or we could right click on just the element itself. But either way, we're going to see that we either have a save as a global option, or for larger sections, save as template option. Either way, you can go through that process. It will allow you to save this as a file. It will come down in JSON format that you can download. And then once you go into another page, such as this one, and you want to load something in, let's say we wanted to add something new. Say we could just, once we're going to add something, we could add template. We could go into my templates, and once you're in here, you just simply upload it here, and you can select it here and insert it. Again, if you have additional questions on that, feel free to always reach out to me, or of course, Elementor has great documentation on all of this. And those are really the big building blocks of a landing page. I mean, there's additional things that we're using here to fill out, like the map widgets and social media widgets, but again, all fairly self-explanatory stuff that's really easy to dig into in Elementor, which is what we love about Elementor. But now that we kind of have that kind of under our belts, let's take a quick look at using Yoast. And I love Yoast. You know, it's a great tool, even the free version, to really help guide us. Once that basic page is done, we can really go through and really use this to help us refine stuff. And really the first step in that is going to be choosing our focus key phrase. And that in itself is an art form. Next week, unless you guys have other stuff you'd like me to answer, that is one of the things I'd like to get into, talking about how to select stuff like that and where to start in terms of choosing goals for your business, and how to target those goals. But for now, you can just keep it generic. As you can see, we've done here. If you remember back the other day, we had said that the point of this landing page that we're building was hand wash stations for Winnipeg. And so in that case, I've chosen to back off on the actual geographic targeting for the key phrase, just to make it a little bit simpler for reading, make it a little bit simpler to get through all this. But you can see we still picked a fairly generic phrase just for that. And then we wrote a snippet. And let's just do kind of some quick coverage of what these different things mean. Now, before we go through these, and I'm not going to go through each and every single one because a lot of them are self-explanatory, but I want to make sure that you know that these are not set in stone rules for every web page. You know, this is a one size fits all, throw the kitchen sink added approach to SEO. So you have to use common sense. You have to understand that not every goal that you have is going to align with the assumptions that they have made here. So there's going to be times when you have a page that perfectly aligns with your goals, but might score very badly in Yoast. The other big thing to be aware of is that when you're looking at pages that have IO generated content, say that you took a category page from IO and build it out into a landing page, most of what we're getting ready to talk about in Yoast, you're not going to get good guidance from it because IO and Yoast doesn't always talk well together due to the render order of how IO builds the pages and the way Yoast does its thing. And unfortunately, that isn't something we have a solution for at this time. So just some things to keep in mind. But, and the reason that comes to mind is the very, very first thing it says is a problem on this page is the lack of internal links. Again, this was a landing page, and our goal for this page was more of a trap than a gateway. We wanted people to come to this page and stay on this page. So in that case, other than some basic internal links for SEO purposes, we really constricted that. We don't even have a normal navigational menu on this page, so we can really ignore that. A key phrase and introduction, again, that was something that we chose to somewhat ignore, simply because the branding and marketing message that we chose to go with above the fold doesn't use our phrase, but I felt at least that it had a better emotional punch than what the key phrase I ultimately chose. One, and again, that was a value judgment that Yoast couldn't have known about. But from there, just going down this list, you're going to get a very, very good sense of what you need to do. In this one, I could have taken more time to make sure the alt tags of all of my images were better aligned with the point of this page. And that could just simply be done, if you need to, yourself, by going to Media, Library, and if you go into grid view, it's a little bit easier. Then you can click into individuals, and then you can actually get, and you can see that there is actual no alt text in this one. So that would be a good idea to actually do. And you can just type it in. And a lot of times it's a great idea to try to embed your focus statements into these as well. And then all we need to do is, there's not actually a save button or anything. We just move on, it auto saves, and we are good to go. Now moving down, text length is a very, very important one. We've talked about that before. 200 to 300 words is your best shot. Yoast believes that 300 is a minimum. That's probably not a bad idea. If once this page before this page were to go live, we would definitely want to add probably about maybe 50 more words. And then you can see that from there, everything else is good on the page that we've built. But again, these are all fairly important things. So let's just kind of quickly go through them. Outbound links, we want to make sure that that our site also leads to outbound places. Just again, that helps to increase SEO. Key phrase length, just making sure that we are staying specific in our goals, specific in our targeting. Key phrase density, making sure that we have hit that key phrase enough times in our branding and copy throughout the page. Key phrase and meta description, making sure that the snippet that we are sending to the search engines here aligns with the goal that we have chosen, again, and what we've chosen to focus on. And then we want to make sure that our previously used key phrase, we want to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts from elsewhere. If we don't want to be duplicating goals. It would be much better if we had a goal that too closely aligns with this one to better focus on that one. And then from there, the rest are somewhat less incidental, but not as important. Now from there, you have the readability tab. And let's get up to it here. This one is also good to follow. Maybe it's less important for technical reasons. This more tells you the human factors. And there's definitely some stuff that we could do to still improve the text that we've written. If you've gone to this page yourself, you can see. So the biggest one would be transition words. This is where I tend to not always agree with Yoast. Excuse me. But I do recommend reading through Yoast's recommended material that you'll find on the links to the right side here, and use your own opinions. They believe that any long body or any long copy should contain lots of words that link concepts. Words like however, than, word like using numerical placeholders such as first and secondly and thirdly. So they feel that highly increases the comprehension level of those who are reading your copy. So again, your mileage may vary, but something important to think about. And then finally, reading ease. This is, again, one that opinions may vary on, but again, they contend that shorter is better. And if you kind of subscribe, like I do, to minimalism, so the concept that often online that less is more, you can definitely see some wisdom to that. So I definitely recommend going along with that as well. From there, The rest are really self-explanatory, so no really need to cover those. And that really wraps it up. I mean, so that is landing pages in a nutshell. It's not rocket science. You know, a lot of this is common sense. You know, the biggest things is just be aware of what your goals are and just use common sense to get there. Again, you know, I urge everybody, if you have specific questions, please feel free to reach out. And again, if you guys have anything you'd like me to cover, make sure to reach out and I'd be happy to do so. Thanks for your time, everybody, and have a great weekend.